Hello, welcome. Today we'll be looking at how the disciples argue about who would be the greatest. We'll be reading from St. Matthew 18 1 to 9. And it says, At that time, the disciples came to Jesus and asked, Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? He called a little child and had him stand among them. And he said, I tell you the truth, unless you change and become little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, whoever humbles himself like this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And whoever welcomes a little child like this in my name welcomes me. But if anyone calls one of these little ones who believe in me to sin, it would be better for him to have a large millstone hung around his neck and to be drowned in the depth of the sea. Woe to the world because of the things that cause people to sin. Such things must come, but woe to the man through whom they come. If your hand or your foot cause you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to enter life maimed or crippled than to have two hands or 2 feet and be thrown into eternal fire. And if your eye cause you to sin, gouge it out and throw it away. If it better for you to enter life with one eye than to have two eyes and be thrown into the fire of hell. Saints of God, Jesus used a child to help his self-centered disciples to get the point. We are not to be childish like the disciples, arguing over petty issues, but rather childlike with humble and sincere hearts. In what area of your life do you tend to struggle with childishness? In what ways are you making progress with childlikeness? The disciples had become too preoccupied with the organization of Jesus' earthly kingdom that they had lost sight of its divine purpose. Instead of seeking a place of service, they sought position of advantage. It is easy to lose our eternal perspective and compete our promotion or status in the church. It is difficult but healthy to identify with children, weak and dependent people with no status or influence. Children are trusting by nature. They trust adults and through that use their capacity to trust God grows. God holds parents and other adults who influence young children accountable for how they affect these little ones' ability to trust. Jesus warned that anyone who turns little children away from faith will receive severe punishment. Jesus warned that the disciples about 2 ways to cause little ones to sin, tempting them and neglecting or demeaning them. As leaders, we are to help young people or new believers avoid anything or anyone that could cause them to stumble in their faith and lead them to sin. We must never take lightly the spiritual education and protection of those young in age or young in the faith. We must remove stumbling blocks that cause us to sin. This does not mean to cut off a part of our body. It means that any person, program, or teaching in the church that threatens the spiritual growth of the body must be removed. For the individual, any relationship, practice, or activity that leads to sin should be stopped. Jesus said, it would be better to go to heaven with one hand than to hell with both. Sin, of course, affects more than our hands. It affects our minds and heart. I pray that you have a blessed day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiration.